At the moment, it's actually quite difficult to be a house construction business in Australia. There are three main key factors that have created somewhat of a perfect storm for house builders. Firstly, supply chain shortages and disruptions as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, which have been exacerbated by political instability in Europe, have placed difficult trading conditions on home builders. Secondly, labour skill shortages. So some projects have been stalled because they are finding difficulty finding skilled labourers to perform the works needed. And thirdly, and most primarily, would be rising input costs. So the domestic prices of timber, iron, steel and concrete have all risen, which have squeezed operators that rely on fixed price contracts. For example, latest ABS estimates suggest that the cost of building a new home has risen by $76,000 over the past year, or 23.2%.
And those inflationary pressures are widespread and everywhere. Are builders able to recoup some of those increasing costs from their clients?
Some builders have attempted to negotiate new contracts with their customers, but customers are under no obligation to accept these price variations. For example, some builders have tried to use rise and fall clauses, but unfortunately, rise and fall clauses are heavily regulated in the house construction industry. For example, in Victoria, rise and fall clauses are an illegal contract item for new house builds that are valued underneath $500,000.
So do you see contracts potentially being changed so that builders will have the ability to revise costs as materials increase?
It's certainly likely that some builders will seek out those kinds of changes, but whether they're successful is state dependent and customer dependent.
Looking at the numbers, how many businesses have gone bust and how many is IBIS World forecasting won't survive?
So based on the latest ASIC figures, construction companies have actually increased by 25.2% as a share of all external administrator and other appointments. Recently, over the past 6 months, several large names have actually wound up. For example, ABD Group, ProBuild and Condev. One large builder in the nation, nation's largest, Metricon, stumbled but did not ultimately wind up as of now.
So they're big names that a lot of people will know of. Is it just big businesses that are struggling, or are we seeing this with smaller operators as well?
So these trading conditions are quite uniform across the industry. But however, smaller enterprises don't have the same kinds of, I guess you could say, benefits that larger enterprises have. So smaller enterprises can't get the financial backing and they don't have the reputation and they don't have the projects in the pipeline in order to secure some financial backing. Like for example, I touched on Metricon, who received a $30 million cash injection to avoid going insolvent.
So just how bad is it going to get?
The Australian house construction industry is big business and many adjacent industries rely on it, both upstream and downstream. Manufacturers, wholesalers and retailers all rely on demand from the house construction industry, and real estate services operators and real estate providers also rely on the supply that the housing construction industry provides. So the winding up of many businesses in the industry is likely to have ripple-on effects across a range of other industries.
And I guess it's sort of in total, can you put a figure on how many businesses you expect will go bust?
IBIS World currently projects that house construction industry businesses are forecast to decline by 9% over the next financial year.
So that's a pretty significant reduction in the number of businesses that are available to build homes. Do you see that having a flow-on effect where we'll see homes that are half finished, jobs that can't be taken on or remain incomplete?
Yeah, so it's certainly plausible that many customers are likely to wind up with unfinished house projects. A lot of states have certain insurance schemes or they have compensation funds set up to address those kinds of concerns. However, if enough builders wind up or go insolvent, the insurance schemes might become overloaded and the compensation funds might become overloaded as well, which could really constrain state budgets.
Darcy Gannon, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.